Welcome back to Vintage HLC Show and Tell. Today we're looking at cake plates. Now most of Homer Laughlin lines prior to the mid-1930s had a cake plate, and you can go all the way back into the 1800s and look at lines like Rococo and Louis XVI, and they all had cake plates. There are a couple exceptions like Old Roman, Ravenna, and Orleans, but those were rather limited to begin with. So sometimes these are called handled trays, sometimes they're called batter trays, but the official name is cake plate. So we'll look at a couple examples. These three come from American Beauty. So these date from the late 1890s to the early 1900s. The one on the left has the Fort Pitt treatment with the yellow matte finish and gold tracings. You can also find this treatment on geisha jugs. Then we have a floral print with filled-in details and gold trim. And this one has rather nice embossing. And finally we have Seneca Holly. We've seen this treatment several times already, and this has gold trim. So those are your American Beauty cake plates. Next is Hudson. This particular example is dated 1912. Of course it has its scalloped rim, and it doesn't have the same type of tab handles that we see on other pieces, but it does have these little embossings on either side. I don't know if that's going to show up or not, to indicate where there would be handles. You're only going to find those on the cake plate. So we have a cottage decal and some luster trim. Again, 1912. Then we have three that could be either Empress or Quaker, because those two lines shared flatware. And of course they shared a cake plate. So this one with blue forget-me-nots and orange luster, this comes from 1925. Actually, all three of these do. They're all dated 1925. Then we have the rose with orange luster, and then we have the exotic bird decal with colorful floral sprigs. Then Yellowstone with a floral treatment and gold stamps. Again, we see our little tab handles. This one is dated 1926. This one is from 1929, and it of course is trellis with some orange trim. Then we have Wells, 1930, 1931. This is the rust glaze from Art Glazes. It was also done with decal treatments. Then we have the square cake plate from Century. This is the Ohio decal. And then Jade with Clair de Lune glaze and matinee medallion treatment. And our final dinnerware cake plate comes from Virginia Rose. And this one was used as a promotional piece. So it has a little gold stamp on the bottom. And it's dated 1935. Now, in 1932, Homer Laughlin made a special cake plate for Jewel Tea. So it has this blue band and gold stamp treatment. They also made a salad nappy. And we're going to look at this in another video later on, because this becomes the basis of Tom and Jerry sets, and it was used with several other treatments. But these two pieces were made, again, for Jewel Tea in 1932. There was also a metal cake safe that went with it that was made by another company. But this cake plate was used with decals and gold stamps as promotional pieces. This one's for a furniture store in Wheeling, West Virginia. And these date from like 32 to 35. Its coupe shape measures 9.5 inches in diameter. This is a treatment you would normally see on like Yellowstone. Here it is with gold stamps. It is dated 1934, I believe it says. That's second selection marking. We'll go over what that means in another video later on. The floral decal with some gold stamps. This one's dated 1935. And they all have that vellum glaze that was developed for Century. So that's your Jewel Tea cake plate, a little specialty piece from the mid-1930s. This doesn't last beyond 35, 36, but this bowl was made for many years to come. So we will look at that another time. Now, we've already looked at these cake plates. We've got Royal Oven Serve and Kitchen Craft. So just to recap, the Royal Oven Serve is completely flat, has a rolled edge, and 2 feet on the bottom. This one's from 1935. So we'll look at a couple of these. This treatment was used on Century. We have a treatment that looks like it could have come from Yellowstone. This little columbine flowers with platinum trim. Armand, as Richard Ratcher called this treatment in his Virginia Rose book. We also have some cake lifters that were also used with these cake plates. This could have been used with a pie plate or a cake plate. Fruit decal with some green trim, platinum stamps in green trim, and deco fruit. So these are all Royal Oven Serve cake plates. And then we have Kitchen Craft, which only has 1 foot, has a slight curvature to it. Most will be marked with Kitchen Craft back stamp. These come from 1937. Oh, by the way, Royal Oven Serve comes from 1934. So that's an early Kitchen Craft tulip treatment. Here's a second, because you can see the imperfection in the glaze. So they put a fruit decal on this red trim. A little unusual that it's on the inside and not on the edge. Deco Leaf, one of our Harmony treatments, and we have a cake lifter to go with it. Rhythm Rose, Mexicana with red trim. There's the cake lifter. Light green from Fiesta. Household Institute Priscilla. And finally, just a floral print with some platinum trim. Again, your Kitchen Craft marking. So what happens with these cake plates, whether it be the Jewel Tea or the Royal Oven Serve, which is 1934, the Kitchen Craft from 1937, these cake plates pretty much put an end to the cake plate being in a dinnerware assortment. So were it not for these kitchenware cake plates, we probably would have had one in marigold, coronet, nautilus ivory, regular Fiesta, harlequin, and so forth. But once they started making these cake plates, they just stopped doing it in dinnerware. So that's a little bit about cake plates. Next time I think we'll go back and look at some more fancy embossed shapes, and we'll look at Golden Gate.